Hello everyone, a very good evening and welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. I'm Abhishek Singh and today I'm going to discuss before all of you about the Chola architecture. So dear students, I think most of you must be aware that we have already discussed quite extensively the details and the features of various temple architectures of India. Till now we have covered the features as well as the elaborated descriptions related to the Nagara style, and today we are going to cover the Dravidian style's most benchmark status of architecture, that is the Chola architecture. So I hope that you all have watched the previous videos. If you have not watched it, kindly make it sure that there is a playlist on the channel. There is the playlist on the home page. In fact, you can check that playlist that is there in the name of the name of art and culture for UPSC. So you can definitely go and check that, and you will be glad to see that there are the topics covered in quite detail. Now let us proceed, but before proceeding further, let me tell you about a very interesting thing. Those students who are still looking for making a decision to start their preparation for civil services examination, those students have got a wonderful opportunity, because StudyIQ is going to launch their morning batch in September on the 11th of September. This batch will be available for the English medium students, Hindi medium students, or those students who want to prepare in both the languages simultaneously. It will be having all the required features, including the syllabus coverage of general studies, current affairs program, and handwritten notes will be there, books will be provided, everything will be taken care. What you have to do, just go and visit the courses, use the code ASR live in case if you want to enroll in any of these batches of P2I, and you will be getting the maximum discount. Now let us come to the topic directly. Chola temple architecture. Guys, Cholas were actually the great imperial dynasty. I'm not talking about the Cholas who ruled alongside the Ashoka's era. Not that. This particular dynasty of Chola, it may or may not have a connection with the ancient Cholas. That is the subject of another debate. But the best part about this dynasty, that it was one of the most prolific and prosperous dynasties India had ever seen in her history. The reigns of the empire were extended from Tamil Nadu region in southern India up to the upward of Indian peninsular coastal plains. Not only in India, but also this empire had its flags flying high in the regions of modern Indonesia, Malaysia as well. In fact, if you look at the empire of Cholas, you will realize that probably the entire southern India as well as the entire southeastern coast and Sri Lanka, along with the peninsular region of Thailand and Cambodia, etc., they were also having the influence of the Cholas. All right. See, this is not about the complete expansion of the empire. This is about the political, cultural and economic influence upon all these territories. All right. So around 8th to 12th century, that period, the Cholas would be the most majestic temple constructors in India, since they existed in such a zone where the Pallavas had already started constructing the great temples. Therefore, they would be succeeding the Pallavas as the great temple builders. And not only that, the Pallavas will be basically initiating the Dravidian style, but the grandness of the Dravidian style, that would be achieved by the Chola dynasty rulers. In fact, most of you must have heard the name of the temples like the great Tanjavur temple or Airavateshwar temple. Okay. However, let me tell you one thing, that probably the earliest temple constructed by the Chola dynasty rulers, that was the Nartamalai temple. I think you must have heard the name. If you have not heard, note it down. This was the first temple constructed by the Cholas. It is claimed. There are other claims as well, but this is the most widely accepted claim. Now, when we talk about the Chola temples, they are primarily categorized into the two periods, the two types, in fact, early temples and the later temples. All right. As I told you that they succeeded the temple construction specifications from the Pallavas. Remember that the Pallav dynasty was actually finished. It was ended by a Chola. If you might have heard the details in previous lectures of mine, I had told you that Aparajit Varman, the last Pallava ruler, he was defeated by Aditya I, the Chola ruler, among the earliest Chola rulers. So what happened, that initial features, they would be simply the continuation of the pre-existing Pallav style of architecture, like having a high boundary wall, okay, like having the size of the mediocre, in fact the medium and smaller size of the temples, right everyone. Similarly, the spires, the spire of the temple. What is a spire? I hope that everybody remembers what is the meaning of a spire. A spire is basically, I think, just a second everyone. Okay. All right. So spire is basically what? It is like, the tower about which we are talking, that is a spire. So in case of a spire, the Pallavas spires were not very extensive, not very huge, but the Chola spires, initially they were very similar to the Pallavas, but later on they started extending their spires, they started growing it to the higher and higher, and eventually they added the cupola, the shape of the cupola of a stone that was octagonal in the structure, that was added to give it a majestic look, All right everybody. In fact, if you might have seen this temple, right, this is the portion about which I am talking. This is the capstone or cupola which is actually shown. This particular image is actually from the Virupaksha temple. It is not a Chola temple, by the way, but similarly you can simply understand because the architectural plannings were quite same. Now, when we talk about the other features, some other specific features, so here you can see that initially they were modest in size, as I told you, but later on their spires became very extensive, and in fact they became similar in the design to the rathas, right, But later on what happened, guys, that as we had discussed the similarities and differences between Nagar and Dravid style, we had discussed that the Panchayatan method of placing the deities in the temple or placing the temples of the deities in the compound, that will be equally followed here in Dravidian architecture as well. All right everyone, in the Dravidian architecture as well. What is the Panchayatan? If you don't know Panchayatan, that means you are not watching the previous lectures. Panchayatan is basically a crucified arrangement of the deities where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is the arrangement of the deity, or this is the arrangement of the deity where 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That is how the deities of the temple are kept in a position. All right. Now, if we talk about some other peculiar features like the absence of the lion motif, there is no lion motif in the temple of the Cholas, particularly in the pillars. But the lion motif is a common feature of the Pallava dynasty. Okay, here we have the Kudus decoration. Okay, the Kudus decoration. Remember one thing, guys, that the temples, as I told you, they had, structurally their design was quite similar. Like the same, the entrance that was called as a Gopuram, or the main entrance of the temple, that is the temple building exactly, that's called as the Mandap. Or apart from the Mandap, you also had the innermost sanctum sanctorum called Garbhagriha. or the tower over the sanctum sanctorum called as Vimana. All these names are exactly same, no change. But what is the difference then? What is the difference? The difference is that basically they have used both the gneiss as well as granite. The gneiss and granite are the different types of the stones you might be able to remember and recall. Some of you might have studied in the geography classes, right? However, the Pallavas were largely using the granite, not gneiss, Okay, everyone? And if we talk about the later Chola temples, remember that the later Chola temple, that best example of it is the Brihadeshwar temple, which was built in the Gangai-Kond Cholapuram, right? In fact, that Brihadeshwar temple is also known as the Rajarajeshwar temple, constructed by Rajaraja I in around 1010 AD. Okay, everybody. So probably you all should be remembering these things. If you are listening it carefully, you will be able to remember. Now let us learn one by one about the major organs of the entire temple in the Cholas. These terminologies are very, very crucial for the upcoming civil services examination. And why so? Just look at the previous year question papers. UPSC has got a record of asking the terminology based questions, and these are the various terminologies given here. You can see the niche, basically these are the characteristic architectural designs of Chola temples carved in the temple walls. Okay, carved in the temple walls. Guys, you all might have seen, right, in your houses there are the brackets, or in Hindi we call it as tak or takha. Have you seen that? There is a gap, just to keep a lamp or something like that. Niche, that's called niche. Then there is the Devakosht. What is the meaning of Devakosht? Decorative niches of the Chola temple walls where the deities are sculpted. Dear students, you might be able to remember that suppose this is the wall of the temple, right? This is the wall of the temple. In the wall of the temple, you will have a plate, a specific plate, which is grooved a little bit inside. On that plate, you will observe that image of a deity is located, that is sculpted. That's called as Devakosht. What does it mean? That means that not every niche will have the Devakosht. Some of the niches where the deity's image is constructed, only that part will be called as Devakoshtha. Then there are the pilasters. What is the pilaster? The designs as projections in the walls with the placing of the deities within it. Okay, remember that when you have the plates specifically located on the wall, but when you have the projections inside the temple wall, suppose the temple is having a thick wall. In the thicker walls, it is easily possible to make several successive planes. Suppose, for example, suppose if you are using, right, I'm just using one example for you. Like this is the entire wall of the temple, and this is a very thick wall. Okay, so here what will you do? You will be making several projections, and these projections will be in the varying thicknesses. Okay, varying thicknesses. It is like having a 3D projection inside the temple wall, and on every projection you will observe the decoration of, suppose, flowers. Okay, flowers decoration is there. Then small god or goddess is constructed here. Okay, that type of decoration is actually done on the walls of the Chola temple. All right, everybody. Now moving ahead, if we talk about this particular structure, you can see the names and you can see and understand the things as well. Look at this one. I think the Chola temples are so intricate. Actually, you might be thinking that why is sir not showing any image? It is because you cannot simply understand the exact magnificence of this particular sculpture. You can look at this one. These are highly decorated places, okay. This is the entrance having the stairs called as the Sopan Marg. Then here you can see the Upapitha. Upapitha means the platform, the sub platform. Then you can clearly see here Adhishthan. What is Adhishthan? Basically the exact posture, the exact posture of the base of the temple. That's called Adhishthan. Then there is a Singhwari. Singhwari, actually it is assumed that the temple of Lord Shiva or any deity, mainly it would be the temple of Lord Shiva because Cholas were Shaivites. Okay. So you can see that these are the heads, these are the faces, the head of the lions, the head of the lions. Entire sequence is actually the head of the lions. And why is this actually added here? Because they believed that the lions were basically, they were laid, they are carrying the entire bulk of this huge stone mass just as a symbol. I am not saying in the reality. Entire bulk of this huge stone mass of the temple, and just to show the braveness of this deity, that how brave he would be, that entire abode is actually placed on the back of the lions. Guys, this type of feature is also common in the Rashtrakutas structure as well. You might have seen that Ellora Kailash temple, remember? It looks like the lions are carrying those temples on their back. Lions as well as elephants both are presented. Here you will not see the lions in the pillar. You will not see the lions in the pillars. Clear, everybody? Now, Kostha. I was telling you about the Kostha. Look at this. This is like a bracket, like a takha, like takha. So the bracket or takha, it is like a Kostha. Kost means the empty space, empty place. Okay. Now moving here, you can see the other places as well. Like when you start moving on the roof side of the temple, you will see Hara and Har and Koot. What is this Har? Guys, have a look on this picture. It is a very beautiful picture. Have a look on this. Just this entire sequence, doesn't it look like the garland of the small temples? The garland of the small temples, doesn't it look like that? Each and every temple is placed like the beads of a garland. Okay, that's why it's called as the Har. And the top of that temple Har is actually the Koot. It is the Koot. And the gap in between the two Har, the gap in between the two, this gap is called as the Shala. The gap is called as a Shala. Okay. These are some important detailings related to the Chola temple architecture. I hope that you are able to enjoy and learn simultaneously, because most of you might not be even aware about it. Now moving further, if you see the next image, it is like the combination of a bull. The face is looking like a bull, but the body is quite equus. Equus means the posture is looking like more like a horse. So basically they wanted to show that the bulls are as fierce and fast as the horses were. Right now, so these bulls are actually called as Talvahan, Talvahan. Okay, and over and above that, there is the next stage of the temple called as Griva. Griva means the neck region. Okay, and on the Griva side, I hope that you are able to see this thing. There is the image of the deities, sitting in the bracket. Remember, Deva Kostha. Devakostha. Do you remember that? Devakostha is basically when the deities are sitting in the bracket. And guys, you will find a total of 8 deities. How many deities? 8 deities. Why 8? If you have seen the previous lectures, the old lectures, you will realize that 8 deities were basically the caretakers or the guardian deities of the 8 directions. Alright, that's why on the top of the temple you are able to see the 8 deities sitting in the coast. Okay. Then there is the kudu. What is a kudu? Kudu is like a crown. It is like a crown, okay, with decorated spades on it. This is like, suppose if you see a beautiful lady having the bun behind her head, behind her head, and that lady is basically keeping the kudu on the bun of the hair. Now that hair lock bun is actually called as kudu. Have you ever heard the term called chudamadi? Chudamadi, usually worn by the queens, etc., or the goddesses, etc. That was an ornament. Chudamadi. It basically looks like the same. It looks like the same. All right. And on the top of it, you have the shikhar and stupika. Shikhar and stupika. Okay. So this is the complete description, probably, of all the important parts of the Chola temple architecture. All right, everyone. Now there is another image as well. You will be able to watch it here also. If it is able to be viewed by all of you, have a look on this one. This is actually only the diagram, only the image showing the topmost portion, the roof onwards, from the roof onwards. All right. So even more detailing about the roof is present here in this picture. Now moving to the other factual details related to the Chola temples, guys. So here there is a part called as Kumbhapa Panjar and Kushthapan. Okay. Kumbhapa Panjar and Kushthapan. What is this? Basically the narrow niches in the Chola temple walls with the specific designs. Kudus, what is this? The two lions head with crown, curved roof on the pilasters. Lion heads are basically having that crown, as I told you, like the chudamadi that is placed. This design is very same, not the product, okay? Design is same. Got it? Then there is a mythical motif. What is the mythical motif, my dear? The Chola temples often indicate the mythical motif called as Makar. Makar, what is a Makar? Makar, Makar. Guys, I think you might have heard about the Vrishchik or Makar Rashi. Rashi, the name of the Rashis, name of the sun signs. Okay. So Makar is basically a mythical animal which looks like a combination of the fish and the elephant, and also sometimes the man and the fish, and the size, the bulk like an elephant. It is regarded as the mount of the planet Mercury, Budh, the planet god Budh in the Indian mythology. Similarly, some other deities like the river goddesses, particularly the river goddesses like Ganga or even Kaveri, they are shown that they are mounting over the Makara, right? The Makara. Good evening, Nandini. So here, my dear students, Makar is basically the warrior heads positioned below all the decorative devices. And what is a Taurus? What is a Taurus? Taurus is again Vrishab or Vrish. You might have heard about Taurus sunshine. Have you ever seen the sunshine called Taurus? Mesh, Aries, Taurus, Vrishab. So these are basically the representation of the normal animals in a mythical specification. Normally the Taurus looks like an ox. But if you see the Taurus, it is more majestic, more powerful, and has the supernatural powers. Right, everyone? So the Taurus is basically rounded structure placed on the basement of the temple, or the motif like decorated with the ribs. It is like the wide shoulders of a bull with the intricate rib design on that. That's called as a Taurus because it appears similar to the bull. Okay, now look at this. This is the grand bull constructed alongside the temple of the Cholas. This is the cupola about which I am talking. This is the Shikhar and this is the Stupika. Now these are the vaulted roof tops, and if you see this particular image, it is looking like a majestic horse here which is pulling the entire temple like a chariot. So this structure is actually consisting of a wheel, a horse, and the entire design looks like a chariot. This is basically sculpted only near the sopan, near the stairs when you enter the temple. Got it, everyone? And on the other side you can see the statues. Now guys, one thing, have you ever noticed, when we are seeing the statues in the Chola period, we are able to see that they are wearing the cloth, not like the other statues or other sculptures of the contemporary or earlier period when the cloths were usually missing, usually absent. Only the loin cloth was worn by the, loin cloth means, the cloth usually worn by the apsaras, by the nymphs in the mythological serials you might have seen, So that is basically it was used. Now, moving further, when you see the other images like Yali, this is not Yaji, it's not Yaji, it's read like Yali. Okay, Yali. What is Yali? Also spelled like that. This is also correct spelling, and that is also correct spelling. When you see the exact Tamil way of writing, so Yali, it's Yali. In Hindi or Sanskrit we call it Yali. So these are basically the mythical creatures, a combination of the lion and the elephant, but a body language or standing posture like that of a horse. And these are super huge in the size, larger than elephant also. Larger, in fact, I would say that 100 times larger than an elephant. 100 times more powerful than a lion. They are considered to be the symbols of our strength and struggle, right? And it is suggested that the Cholas wanted to display the Yali, that they are basically as powerful as Yalis, that means more powerful than the lions, the elephants and other creatures on the earth. Right, everyone? Here let me tell you, how does a Yali look like? Yali looks like this. This is the mouth. This is the mouth of a Yali, and on the top of it, the Yali has got a trunk. The trunk means sood, right? The trunk as well as the tusk of the elephant, similar to that. All right, everyone. Then the mandap features in the Chola temples is also there. Mandap, basically, what is the mandap? You all might be remembering that the mandap was basically, suppose this is the temple, this is the temple hall, okay, and this is the entrance, this is the stairs. So here it is the sopan, these are the pillars, and this is the flat roof of the temple, okay, the other pillars, okay. So when you see such type of a structure, this is called as mandap, right? That is the DT, the hall for the deities to stand and to wait to reach to the Garbhagriha, where the main deity of the temple is residing, isn't it? Now, so in the Chola mandapas, a new structure called as Nandi mandap, called as Ardha mandap, these were also added in the Chola's architecture. Remember that the Pallavas, they had only one mandap, But the Cholas, they added the additional mandap called Ardha Mandap. And if you remember, then there was the place of Vahan. Vahan. How many of you remember the Vahan? What was the Vahan? In case of Lord Shiva, Nandi was the Vahan. In case of Lord Ganesh, it was a Mushak. In case of Goddess Parvati, it was the lion. So, Vahan is also now covered. The Cholas started making a covered structure over the Vahan as well. Now, this is called as Nandi Mandap, And this Nandi Mandap is basically the primary feature of the Cholas. And guys, one more thing that is very, very important. Cholas started adding the additional buildings in the temple premise. They were called as Parivar Devatas. Like suppose Brihadeshwara temple. In the Brihadeshwara temple, you will observe that the main temple is dedicated to Lord Shiva. However, in that main temple, there is a small statue that is of the Rajarajeshwar as well, who was the king then. But there are additional temples as well, because beside the main shrine, these subsidiary shrines were also constructed. And why? Because every deity has got a family. In fact, you will observe that even the Venkateshwara temple or even the Virupaksha temple or any temple, Airavateshwar or Brihadeshwar, any temple in the Chola dynasty or in the Vijayanagara empire or later, if it is a Dravidian temple, this will have the additional deities temples as well. Within the same premise, there are like 2-3 additional temples, and usually they house the Parivar Devatas. Parivar Devata, for example, Lord Shiva is the head deity, then Lord Ganesh, Kartikeya, that is Murugan, and Goddess Parvati. All these are the Parivar Devatas. In fact, even Nandi is also a Parivar Devata. Got it? So these are the features which are present here. Now, I think everybody remembers the this diagram. I'm saying this is image which was depicted in the previous page. And if you remember that page, I told you about the horses pulling this entire temple, like this temple is located on a chariot. And guys, remember, this is the portion of mandap about which I was talking, and this specific portion which is extended outward with the decorative pillars, with the highly carved pillars and the staircases called sopan, decorated by the images of the elephants and the horses, looks like a chariot. This structure is called as Ardha Mandap. In front of the main mandap of the temple, and behind it there would be the sanctum sanctorum and the vimana of the temple. Alright everyone. So that is about the temple architecture. Then there are also the Digpalas on the top. I told you about the Digpalas, 8 guardian deities. And then some of the temple walls of the Cholas, they also have got certain inscriptions. Alright everyone. So in the end, I have also provided the comparison between the Pallav and the Chola architecture. That is very, very important from the point of view of the examination. So I insist to everybody that get the PPT or the PDF copy of this particular class in my Telegram channel, and you will be able to go through the details of the comparison. And not only that, in case if you are aspiring to prepare for the UPSC Civil Services, then you are at the right place, because you have got opportunity to join our upcoming batches from 11th of September. And these batches will be available in the pure English, pure Hindi and bilingual media. These batches will be actually providing you the live classes, plus the access to the live classes will be available throughout your course duration. That is the end of the interview program of 2024. That means approximately 1.5 years from today. So you are having ample time, ample resources, and to help you out further, we will be providing you the handwritten notes, textbooks, etc., as well as the current affair program modules will also be there. Not only that, suppose if you clear the prelims examination, then you will be provided the mains guidance program, right? The mains residential program, right? That will be basically the mains guidance is through the residential program at the StudyIQ campus. Your cost of living here, your cost of staying, food, everything will be taken care by StudyIQ. So you have got a wonderful opportunity. I don't think that staying in Delhi and making the preparations or getting all these things just at rupees 29,999 if you are using the code ASR live is, I think, one in a time opportunity that you must take benefit of. So just do not forget to join my Telegram channel as well on this particular link, right? And you will be getting the content. In fact, there is a pendency of uploading the content that I will be finishing it today. Thank you so much for watching it, guys. If you love this class, share this class with your friends, your co and fellow aspirants, so that they can also learn a lot of new things. Tomorrow we will be coming up with a new topic. Till then, take care everybody. Bye bye and Jai Hind.